everyone, you're welcome back. Okay, so today we're talking about choice meat cuts. Choice meat cuts. So what do I mean by choice meat cuts? Okay, what is actually choice? When we talk about choice actually means like I'm trying to choose between two or three options or more options depending. So there are different opinions or choices, or probably yeah, I can take rice and stew or chicken and this. So I decide to say no, I want probably I prefer bread and egg or akara and bread. So today's topic is a very interesting one. I would like you to stay with me. So we're talking about choice meat cut. And when we talk about choice meat cut, you know, there are parts of meat, for instance, in a cow that is very, this is how we grade meat. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So for instance, the Queen of England, there's only the late Queen of England. I mean, the meat she eats comes all the way from Paris in France. And the meat is really very pricey and it has less marbling. When I mean marbling, I mean fat. So most of the times we go to the market to buy meat. So let's try and know what meat is, because we all eat meat, except for some persons that don't eat meat. So meat is the edible flesh of animals. It's actually rich in proteins, iron, and vitamins. So when you consume them in excess, if you consume or eat them in excess, it's actually bad for you and I. It should be eaten in moderation. Why? So that we don't come and have health risk. But you will say, how many times have I even eaten meat? For those people that don't have opportunity to eat it often. But it's really important that we eat it in moderation. Whether how many times, because it's red meat, it's meat from cow. So meat from cow are usually called red meat. Then from poultry, it's chicken. Chicken, that means it's called white meat. Yes, white meat. But from cow, anything cow is red meat. Then from, is it lamb or sheep, we have mutton. Call it mutton. Mutton. Then from the pig is pork meat. Yes. So then we also have fish, we have eggs from poultry beds and all. So but the important thing is that meat is supposed to be cooked and processed properly. So let's talk about the choice meat cuts. We have various meat cuts that are widely available. Most times we just go to the market and just say, oh, I want to buy meat 2,000 naira, I want to buy meat 5,000, 10,000. Probably you're having a meeting, you're having a party. To know the part of the meat to buy is very important. But most of the times people don't really look at it that way, because they feel probably just as long as I'm able to pay, they don't know the part they're buying. But there are different kinds of part of meat that is good for stew. There is the one that is good for roasting. There's the one that is good if you want to fry your meat. But what do I know? So let's talk about it. So according to the United States, we have various grade of meats. Yes, they say USDA have various grade of meat. And I've told you about marbling. When you hear marbling, it's not marble. We're talking about fat on meat. So meat is graded with the kind of fat that is on it. Yes. That's why it's called red meat. But usually wherever it's killed or the butcher, they try to trim off excess fat. Except some persons just want to sell for gain. They will refuse to trim it off for gain. But usually it's supposed to be trimmed off. So when I talk about choice meat, just know, let's put it at the back of our mind that we're talking about the choicest part of meat. Whether you want to cook stew, whether you're roasting, number one is sirloin meat. Sirloin meat, yes, as it's pronounced, is spelled sirloin. We also have ribeye. We also have strip steak, and we have tenderloin. We also have T-bones, which is also called tenderloin. Most of these meat parts I just called now, they are really good for stew. They are really good for roasting. They are really good for cooking. Yeah, because grilling or cooking, because of the fat content on it. So let's talk about the rib eye. The rib eye, it has rich flavors and good marbling. It's actually great for roasting and grilling. The same goes for sirloin. Sirloin, it's the back part. Is that the back part of the meat? The back part is actually flavorful. You know, the animal is the cow. There's really no fat in that part. So it has lean cut. It's actually good for grilling. It's just almost the same thing. We have the strip. When we talk about strip, those meats they use machines to intentionally strip it, to cut it, just like you're using, like, yeah, what we use in cutting plantain for plantain chips. So it comes out that way. It's actually good for dry cooking, dry heat cooking. So we have the tenderloin. The tenderloin is extremely tender and lean. It's often the pricier choice. And when I talk about the tenderloin, I talked about that for Queen of England, the late Queen of England, the kind of meat that is given to her all the way from France, Paris, is the tenderloin. Yes, the tenderloin is really um, expensive, but it's really yummy, has less fat and all. So we have various parts like the pork roast, the shoulder, It can be tough. The meat is tough, but it's flavorful. So all those kind of meat now you have to cook it slowly. There are some meat that you need to cook and cook and cook and cook. If you don't do it that way, it will look like when you eat it, you just chew it and you swallow it. So we have other parts of of the meat. Other parts, we have the prime. So let me give you how we grade meat scientifically. So we say we call one choice. When you hear of choice, it means the meat is really high quality. It has good marbling, that's fat, and it's very popular and has weight value. That kind of meat is very expensive. That's why it's called choice meat cut. Number two, we have prime. You hear prime roast, prime beef, prime this is the highest quality, most marbling, most tender and juicy. It's actually less common, you know, less common. So we have another one, it's called select. Once you are done with the prime, you're done with the choice. Select is for the general, but it's according to your purchasing power. So it has less marbling. Less marbling means less fat, but it's a lean meat. It is a good quality though, but it can be less juicy. That means this kind of meat, where it was gotten from, it does not have fat at all. So when you're cooking, you need to marinate it, marinate the meat with ingredients. You know how we do here in Nigeria. If you want to cook, you marinate your meat. You need to put all your spices and leave it so that it will enter in, because you can even add butter or margarine when you're cooking that kind of meat. So what do you think about choice meat cuts? Choice meat cut, would you just, I know it might not be obtainable here, but it's obtainable. We have it in like big supermarkets here in Nigeria. Yes, choice meat cut. Especially when you go to the market, for those of us that still buy in the market, it's very important to tell the butcher or the person selling the meat to remove the fat. Remove the fat as much as possible. We have different kinds of fat, not the ones that is aquara. There's what they call in Igbo, they say aquara. You, even if you cook it, it's just so hard. That one is not fat, so it should be removed. But the fat in the meat, there are choice places where the fat will be, and it's when you cook it, you really enjoy the meat. So let's not forget that choice meat cuts are high quality beef. High quality beef and very flavorful, and the price, the money, I'm counting money here. The money you use in buying it is something else. So eat beef, but in moderation. Eat red meat, especially the lean part of the meat. Very, very important, because there's so many diseases or sicknesses that are linked to meat consumption. Don't say I've not eaten, I'm just trying, I've not started eating. No, be mindful of how you eat it. What comes to us, eat the choices and the best parts.